Good day, you're watching Business World Live. I'm Danie, Laurel.
And I'm Delos Santos. Here are today's top stories. The Bangko Sentral expects inflation to have quickened in September on the back of higher power rates and the peso's weakness versus the dollar.
Malacanang describes President Bongbong Marcos' weekend trip to Singapore as, quote, productive. This after photos of the president attending the F1 Grand Prix in the city-state have gone viral on social media.
Construction of the $11 billion Sangley International Airport is expected to begin by the third quarter of 2023. Over in Metro Manila, officials will break ground for the construction of 2 subway stations in Pasig City.
And the Philippine Charity Sweepstakes Office says there was no irregularity with the 655 Grand Lotto draw, where 433 bettors got the winning combination. PCSO says the players were loyal to their numbers. We begin our broadcast with inflation expected to have accelerated in September. By the Bangko Sentral's estimates, the consumer price index likely settled within 6.6% to 7.4%. This is faster than the 6.3% print back in August. It would also mark the highest CPI in 45 months, or since the 6.9% rate recorded in October of 2018. The BSP says inflation for September is expected to have been driven by increases in electricity rates and prices of food items and the continued depreciation of the peso against the dollar. Meanwhile, a Business World poll of 13 analysts yielded a median estimate of 6.7% for last month's CPI. The Philippine Statistics Authority will report the September inflation figures on Wednesday, October 5th.
Commuters will have to pay more for public transportation starting today as the fare hike takes effect. Jeepney fares increased by 1 peso, pushing the minimum to 12 pesos for traditional jeepneys and 14 pesos for modern jeepneys. Buses have a 2 peso fare increase, while the flag down rate of taxis and Transportation Network Vehicle Services, or TNVS. Meanwhile, motorists may expect a slight decrease in the prices of fuel tomorrow, that's Tuesday, October 4th. Unioil projects that diesel prices will be slashed by up to 60 centavos per liter, while gasoline prices are expected to go down by 50 centavos. The Energy Department earlier said the rollback could have been higher if the peso was able to recover against the dollar. Now, this from the Philippine Star. Go Negosyo founder Joey Concepcion says maintaining mobility in the fourth quarter is vital to sustaining economic growth. In a statement, Concepcion emphasizes the importance of encouraging Filipinos to go out during the holiday season when consumer spending is at its peak. Concepcion says this will help the Philippines come out with a stronger economy by the first quarter of 2023. However, Concepcion also acknowledges the external headwinds that threaten to weaken consumer spending, such as interest rate hikes in the U.S. and the conflict between Russia and Ukraine, which are beyond government's control. Nevertheless, he is hopeful that remittances amid peso depreciation will help buoy the economy in the fourth quarter. And just like that, we are now in the last quarter of the year, Dan, and with that comes a bit more spending as we enter the holiday season. But do Filipinos have enough space in their wallets to actually shell out additional cash? To give us an outlook on the prices of basic goods, we have with us Steven Cua, President of the Philippine Amalgamated Supermarkets Association, or PAG-ASA. Steven, good day. Thank you for joining us. Now, like what we reported earlier, we are expecting a series of oil price rollbacks. Should we be expecting prices of some goods to follow suit, especially now as transport and logistics costs ease?
Well, fuel prices are just a component, which form what the prices of commodities that we buy, in the supermarket. Sudden changes like that, weekly changes, won't really affect prices. Probably for those which are, delivered on a daily basis, meat, vegetables, fruits, in the public market, the wet market. But I heard that the prices for vegetables are also going up because of the rains.
Mm-hmm.
So let's hope that conditions will be favorable for prices to go down a bit. Yeah.
Sir, let's talk about the prices indeed of agricultural products due to the weather, specifically carding. Is there a direct impact already? Has it been reflected on the ground? The Department of Agriculture warned against a 20% increase. When is that expected, sir?
It depends where the produce is coming from. But some areas have already shown that their prices have already gone up. No? I checked over the weekend, and the prices have already, there was an uptick on prices for fresh produce. Yes.
Sir, what about sugar po? Has that issue
Sugar
been resolved?
remains to be, yes, price of sugar remains to be high. No, it's still going at over 100 pesos a kilo. No, now I've seen some stores using sugar as a promotion by selling washed sugar even cheaper than 70 pesos. Yes, I've seen a few. In fact, just one. But most of them, because those who sell washed sugar at 70 cannot sell even their brown sugar below 70. They're selling it higher than 70. So imagine brown sugar is now more expensive. It's just like diesel overtaking gasoline prices. So so everything's gone haywire. And then these stores have kept their quite refined sugar because they cannot sell it at over 100. So they just took them off the shelves. So it's a lot of work for retailers. To be able to do that, right? So the others did not change their prices, and brown sugar selling at 75, 76, and the wash at 78, 79.
Now, next question is, how is the weakness of the peso affecting the prices of goods, especially imported ones? I mean, the last time we talked, you said that you are already noting increases in prices of imported goods. That time, the peso was only at 53, 55, and the levels we are in at the moment is really quite alarming. How's that affecting at least the prices of imported goods?
Very timely question. Just the last 2 weeks, your favorite luncheon meat from the US went up by around 50%. And a market challenger, which is also from the US, went up by 33%.
Wow.
My God.
Wow.
So it's really wow. So don't get a tin of those items cost you probably a kilo of chicken. Yeah.
Given that, are we seeing at least some preference here among consumers for domestically produced products compared to imported ones?
I hope it does. The domestic, those which are produced here also use some imported ingredients inside the can. And even the can, the lid, everything's imported, right? So we're hoping that this will also help people buy local, or at least what is produced here and what generates income. So that there'll be more income moving around. Yeah.
What are you expecting for this holiday season as we approach December? What is the consumer spending going to be like compared to the previous years?
Well, everyone's got to be more creative, to stretch the peso. I mean, you just mentioned a while ago about commuters having to add to their expenses because of the increase in price of transportation. So priorities, we can still have a Merry Christmas. Why not? It's always a mindset. Just keep it simpler and be more creative. There will be some good buys out in the market for sure. People will take advantage. Businesses will take advantage of the fact that the increase in prices for imported goods tells them that they can get into the market and eat into the market share of these items because they can definitely sell their prices at a cheaper price. Yes.
So do you feel, sir, that retailers will take some pain and not pass it on to consumers? Or no choice ba, sir, because ang hirap lang talaga?
Or are you going to make it staggered, if ever?
No choice. Kasi in general, retailers are still,
recovering.
In a head spin. Yes, trying to recover from the pandemic. Hindi pa. We're not over the number one. Pandemic's not over, so go get your booster shots. I mean, people are already very reluctant to have their second booster shot, thinking that it's all over. And it's mild. It's when it hits them. Number two, we're still in the recovery stage. There has been a lot of expenses because of the virus. Extra packaging, extra. There were a lot of expenses. Which are right now we're slowly taking off, but it doesn't immediately make one recover from the losses incurred during the pandemic.
Earlier, you were talking about the holiday season. We're now in the fourth quarter. Of course, primary concern during this period would be Noche Buena items. Are we already seeing at least an uptick in the prices of these goods?
Not yet. It's still a bit too early, but the advice of DTI to go out and buy if you can, if you have the money. That may be a good idea this year in particular, no? Because we don't know what's going to happen, no? Because if you go out and buy now, and people see that there is manufacturers see that there is demand, no? Maybe they will be hesitant to increase prices. But if they see that demand is still down and they have to recover their costs, no, production, they might adjust prices because they now have reason because of, like you said, the weakening of the peso, no, gives them reason to tell DTI that, look, our costs of production have gone up.
Sir, final question. The heavy rains, was this expected anyway, that during these periods, the agricultural prices do tend to go up? But how temporary is that inflation going to be? And do you expect that to pare back naman if the rains stop, so to speak, or the weather improves?
That is correct, Danie. I mean, it's very... the impact is very quick and very immediate. No? Once the weather is better, the prices go down quickly, just as quickly as it went up. Yeah, that's correct. For fresh produce, for supermarkets, when it rains, sales drop because people don't like getting their items wet. The inconvenience of getting into a wet, getting to your car wet. No? So the rains do affect sales in supermarkets. Yes.
All right. Well, time to be strategic in terms of buying as well, and looking as well as even at the peso rate, no, to buy when to buy your imported goods for Noche Buena. Thank you so much, Steven Cua, President of the Philippine Amalgamated Supermarkets Association. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Jess.
Let's pause for a quick break, but coming right up after that. The government's outstanding debt reaches the 13 trillion peso mark.
More of that and other stories when Business World Live returns. Stay with us.
And you're still watching Business World Live here in One News. I'm Jess de los Santos.
And I'm Danie Laurel.
The palace has confirmed reports that President Marcos went to Singapore over the weekend to watch the F1 Grand Prix race. In a Facebook post, Press Secretary Trixie Cruz Angeles said Marcos had a, quote, productive visit to Singapore as he met with the city-state's Minister for Manpower Tan See Ling on the sidelines of the event. The press secretary even included a screenshot of Tan See Ling's Facebook post where he wrote that he and Marcos affirmed their bilateral economic relationship on the sidelines of the race. Angeles said Marcos strengthened initial talks from his earlier state visit to Singapore last month and that the president continued to push for more investments in the Philippines. Marcos' second trip to Singapore as president was strongly criticized by some groups as it took place just days after the country was hit by Typhoon Karding. The palace was initially mum on the matter.
Meanwhile, the national government's outstanding debt rose to a record high of 13 trillion pesos as of the end of August. This beats the previous high of 12.89 trillion pesos recorded in July. Now, the Treasury attributes the 1% increase to additional borrowings as well as the weaker peso. Now, year on year, the debt stock jumped by 11.8% from 11.6 trillion pesos.
The Senate minority wants to look into Saturday's Grand Lotto 655 draw where over 400 people won the 236 million peso jackpot. Last Saturday, the Philippine Sweepstakes Charity Office announced that 433 bettors had gotten the winning combination of 9, 45, 36, 27, 18, and 54. The draw immediately raised questions on social media, not only over the number of winners, but as well as the chances of pulling numbers that were all divisible by 9. Senate Minority Leader Coco Pimentel said he would file a resolution for an inquiry, saying there was a need to consult statisticians. Senator Risa Ontiveros backed the inquiry, saying it was important to belay doubts among the public. The PCSO, however, maintains that the result was not impossible and that there was nothing wrong with Saturday's draw.
Since this is a game of chance, there is no right, there is no wrong. Alam niyo yun, no? And in this case nga, tinamaan nila yon. Nag-pay off yung kanilang loyalty, kaya lang marami nga lang talaga sila. Wala kaming nakikitang babaguhin doon, and we are in fact pleased na marami ang nanalo actually, lalo't magpapasko.
The provincial government of Cavite expects the construction of the $11 billion Sangley Airport project to start by the third or fourth quarter of next year. On September 14, the provincial government awarded the project to a consortium composed of Philippine, European, and South Korean companies. Philippine companies leading the consortium are Cavitex Holdings, the Yuchenko's House of Investments, as well as Lushotan's Macro Asia Corporation. The signing of the joint venture and development agreement is expected to take place this month.
The joint venture of Japan's Nishimatsu and Philippine firm DMCI has bagged the 21 billion peso contract for 2 stations of the Metro Manila subway project. The government has awarded the contract to the joint venture for the design and construction of the East Avenue and Quezon Avenue stations. This contract includes building the tunnels for these stations. A notice of award has been issued to KG Nishimatsu on September 29th. Meanwhile, the groundbreaking for 2 Metro Manila subway stations in Pasig City is set today. President Bongbong Marcos, Pasig Mayor Vico Soto, as well as other key officials are expected to grace this event. The Transportation Department initially announced partial closures along Meralco Avenue starting today until 2028 to give way to the construction.
All right, expect some traffic along Ortigas, but at the same time, why did we think of that winning combination over the weekend?
Part na sana tayo, Jess.
Sayang. 435 sana. Those are the biggest stories on the economic and corporate front today. I'm Jess De Los Santos.
And I'm Danie Laurel. We are One News, all sides, all the time. Don't go away. We'll give you the latest on the local boards when Business World Live returns. Stay with us. Robinsons Retail, of course, by the Gokongwei Group, will be owning about 6% of BPI after that merger, and that is expected to be completed before the end of 2023. Now, what was the rationale for this? JG Summit's President Lance Gokongwei says they reviewed their strategic options. They've, of course, had 2 years of losses following the Cebu Pacific issues, of course. And recall that this isn't the first time that BPI has bought a stake from JG Summit. They also bought Far East Bank from them. And right now, AP Securities estimates this acquisition will value Robinsons Bank at around 30.9 billion pesos. So watch out for potential upside, according to them, of 9.6% for Robinsons Retail and 4.7% jump possibly for JG Summit because of this.
And lastly, very quickly, how are we starting October? Not a good September. How are we starting now?
Well, a bit of a reprieve here. We are up by 0.37%, just trading at 5762.39. So a bit of a reprieve, but nevertheless, still way below the 6,000 previous support levels there, Jess.
Let's see if we get to hold on to that. And that's it for today, October 3rd, 2022. Join us again tomorrow at exactly 9:30 a.m. You can also catch us on Signal Play. Register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Jess De Los Santos.
And I'm Danie Laurel. Stay safe, Philippines. We are One News, all sides, all the time.